VGMP.
Hi there. How you doing? Sit down. Make yourself comfortable. Pour a cup of tea or a nice sherry and enjoy a new episode of VGMP Retro, where we take classic episodes of the Video Game Movie Podcast, spruce them up a little, and re-release them for your oral enjoyment. That's oral, A-U-R-A-L. Not oral as in the Gluck Gluck 3000. Today, I want you to imagine something, guys. I want you to imagine two fat nerds who set out to review video game movies to prevent you, the listener, from having to watch them. Then imagine that these two fat nerds were arrogant enough to do a retrospective episode 11 episodes in. 11 movies we had done when we decided to do a retrospective episode. That, my friend, is like people who do a clip show in season 1 of their show.
Well, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Which, to be fair, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I think it was like the 6th episode.
Yeah,
so we did better than Fresh Prince.
It's that level of arrogance. Either way, I hope you guys enjoy it. We did have some interesting discussion points in this, where we didn't only look back over our first season episodes, but we also looked ahead to season 2 and the potential new releases that we could see coming that year.
Yep.
Most of which have now come to pass. I think it's worth listening to, and I hope you will agree.
Yeah. The main reason that we did it after 11 episodes, because I agree it does sound arrogant, it was literally just because we started VGMP. We were releasing weekly at that point. The first release was on the 22nd of October, and where we released weekly, we only got 11 episodes in before the end of the year, so we did it as a retrospective for the year.
I know, I was just being funny.
I know. However, the next year, usually we're trying to do it as like a season a year, but the next year we have 2 separate seasons. The reason that there was a seasonal split between season 2 and 3, even though they were both basically 2 halves of the same year, was because of a change. Season 2 is still independent, as season 1 was. A lot of it was recorded in a similar fashion, just 2 of us, 1 mic, 1 bedroom. Sounds almost a bit 2 girls, 1 cup, but 2 boys, 1 mic.
Where you been putting this mic? I thought it smelt funny.
And then season 3, we'd been picked up by Pickaxe, which is part of the Yogscast network, and we also changed a lot of our equipment. We did have a slight equipment change towards the end of season 2, but a lot of the sort of grounding of that came in season 3.
Yeah, we finally had a mic each instead of sharing one between 2.
Yeah, that was a big improvement. And on top of that as well, season 4 was very similar, but season 4 was released in its own year. So, yeah, this season we may mention some stuff that comes out in season 3 instead, but that's just because season 2 and 3 essentially were the same year, and it was split in half for logistical reasons. Other than that, we hope you enjoy our takeaways on, what was then to come to pass and, what we'd already reviewed. If you have any queries on it, or if you wanted to discuss it with us, you can join us on our Discord at www.vgmovie.co.uk, and the link to the Discord is there. And yeah, just feel free to join in. We'd love to talk to you. And the next episode after this will be the first episode of season 2, which is the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie. So there's a lot to look forward to, as well as obviously the new releases from season 5. So we will catch you next time.
VGMP.
Hello everyone, and Happy New Year! It's now 2022!
Whoa! And there's still a fucking pandemic.
No, it might have been fixed by 2020.
What, like 4 weeks from now?
Not even that, it's like 2 weeks. Yeah.
Fucking hell, it is, we're in December!
We're in December, my friend.
What happened to this year?
It went by the same as 2020, in that there was no year because it was all pandemic.
So I could tell people I'm still 29 years old, so skip 2 years.
That's the one. I'm still not 35 yet. So, welcome back to another... this is a special episode of Video Game Movie Podcast. We're doing a roundup of everything we did in 2021.
Just to sum up,
Yeah, just to sum up. And we're also going to look at what's coming up in 2022. Ones that we've got guaranteed dates for and ones that we don't but seem likely to release in 2022. And we'll go through those a little bit and discuss our thoughts on those. And then there's also going to be a couple of things where we're going to challenge stuff said in the past on the show, and a couple of questions I have for Jamie. I'm sure he might have a couple of questions for me. But realistically, this is just going to be a conversation.
Jamie
as
did
a
not
roundup.
Jamie did not pre-plan for any of this.
No, he got drunk. So yes, let's start with a roundup of 2021. Before we start, I just want to say thank you for everyone who listened throughout 2021, and please do help us out by sharing this out with as many people as you can. You can find all of our links, including all of our audio listening through Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, Amazon, and Google, as well as our RSS feed and our Discord, all available on our website. Just go to www.vgmovie.co.uk.
It genuinely means a lot because, I know some people look at it like, let's be honest, we haven't had that many listeners in the first 10 episodes we've done.
11.
11. And was that including this one?
No, this is 12.
Right, so
I'm not closing it as 12, it's just a special.
Yeah, in the first 11 episodes we've done, we've not had a huge amount of listeners, but the fact we've had any at all, that means the world to us.
Yeah.
Because, the internet is full of people, and the fact that anyone listens to the crap we're saying.
I think what's quite nice is, as from what I've looked, and I did check.
I thought would be nice. I've just thought of this now, and I should have told you this off air, but I'm going to tell you on air.
Okay.
We should probably start doing some episodes where we actually review the actual games as well.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be video game movie podcast, would it? That'd be...
No, but like as a little bonus companion piece.
Yeah, that might be nice.
If it's not too time consuming, just like... So today, we talked about Kirby, the movie.
Well, there's a TV show of Kirby.
Jesus, are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. Called Right Back At You. I'm not kidding, that's a genuine TV show.
Stop making video game movies, people. What are you doing? But you know what I mean? Like, okay, so like Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. Maybe it'd be nice to do a bonus episode looking at the Resi 2 remake, which is obviously what that was heavily inspired by.
Yeah.
We could
do things like that. But yeah, it was quite interesting, the demographics. I mean, with a lot of our listeners are coming from the UK. Not really a surprise.
We're in the UK. Our friends are all in the UK.
Yep.
Probably our friends listening.
That's it. Secondarily, we've got people
Probably
listening.
Your friends listening. None of my friends support this.
Well, you don't have friends.
No, I have a lot of pretentious friends who think video game films are below them.
Sure, but I mean, they might learn something. That's the thing. I understand that there is a pretension about video game movies, and it's not... I mean, looking at the list we've got here, and we'll go through that in a minute, it's probably not unearned. There is a lot more dreck than there is gold in them that are hills. But at the same time, there is... there's interesting information about all of these films.
So I don't remember who said this. It was some filmmaker. You learn far more watching bad movies than you do watching good movies.
Again, and that's something that I've stated about Super Mario Brothers for a long time. And my main thing about this was that I'm fed up with people saying Super Mario Brothers is the worst video game movie ever made.
I thought you might say it's crap, because if you'd have said I'm fed up with people saying it's crap, I was be like, it is.
Well, people can have their opinion
I will
on that,
agree,
yeah.
It's not the worst video game film ever made.
No.
Because we live in a world...
Where Uwe Boll exists.
Where Uwe Boll exists. Where Noobs exists.
Where
Stay Alive exists. Where apparently a Kirby fucking TV show exists.
Now, we don't know if that's good or bad yet. We haven't watched that. So
is it gonna be good, Rory?
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
Do you know anything about the Kirby games? Because I don't.
No, not
really.
really.
Isn't he just a Jigglypuff that sucks people off?
Officially, yes. I think Jigglypuff is just a gender-bent... Kirby.
Are we going to be covering Pokemon at some point?
We will have to.
Technically based on a game, isn't it?
So,
the game came before the anime, didn't it?
Oh yeah, but yeah, game was first. The game was first on that one, whereas I think it might be the other way with Digimon. But either way, it doesn't matter. The point is we've only done 11 episodes. In that 11 episodes, there was no way we could cover even all of the most popular series, because there's stuff we haven't covered yet, which we will start in 2022, which includes things like Tomb Raider. There's been plenty of those.
Fucking Tomb Raiders, isn't there?
There's multiple Halo media pieces that we could cover.
I know they did the Forward Unto Dawn, didn't they?
So they did Forward Unto Dawn, there's Halo... Dawn? Halo Forward Unto Dawn. There's Halo Legends, there's Nightfall, there's
a new series coming out as well, isn't there?
There's a new series coming out. So there's a new series coming out next year, this year, in 2022. I'm going to have to get used to that. And Yeah, I've got at least 4 Blu-rays of different Halo properties already.
Jesus Christ.
And then there's obviously what's coming up. And there might be some that I've missed. I need to, double check my list and checking it twice. But yeah, there's a lot of these big series that we've not yet covered.
Gonna find out who's naughty and nice. You know who was naughty? Uwe fucking Boll.
He's always naughty. He's
Paul
naughty boy.
W.S. Anderson.
By the way, here's something that's a retrospective I didn't know when we did Postal episode.
Yes,
about Uwe Boll.
That it's his most important film.
Well, no, we knew that. We stated that in the episode. Here's something that made me hate him even more.
Oh,
right?
Is that possible?
I didn't think it was. But, so, first of all, he's a shit director. He's a shit writer. He shouldn't be allowed to make films. He's awful, right? And when he's told that, because it's the facts...
He beats people up.
He beats people up. So, which means he hasn't got a good sense of humour and he's an asshole. But he thinks he's got a good sense of humour because he makes Nazi jokes as if that's, top gold. And the mayonnaise truck, which we'll come to later. I should have said that when you had your mouth full.
She's gonna look like she was hit by the... Yeah, no, because I'll spit this all over my editing computer. This is my lifeblood, this computer.
Oh, I know. So, yeah, so all of that, and you think, okay, that's asshole-ish enough. I then found a photo of him, not photoshopped, a genuine photo, where he had murdered a cheetah and had it draped over him with the blood dripping down his blood. Yeah, this is my prize. And I was like...
Of course he hunts.
Yeah. So, I mean, can I use the hard C word on this show? For Uwe Boll, it's definitely earned.
We're picking on hunters. Does that make us soy boy beta cucks?
No, it makes us human.
In the eyes of the right wing, though, I think it makes us soy boys.
Yeah, but no one cares about them.
I don't want to be a soy boy. I hate soy.
I don't eat
soy.
I'm a vegetarian and I don't eat soy.
Vegetarian? What are you talking about, soy boy? Get off. Only meat eaters on here.
I don't eat soy.
I would like
I
to...
eat mushrooms and fungi.
If we're going to be criticising Uwe for hunting,
yep.
I do want to just put out there, admitting my own failings. Unlike my good friend Rory here, I am a hypocrite. Because I love me some meat, but the idea of seeing it as the animal that it once was skeeves me out, man.
Can I just say,
I can't eat anything that's on the bone. I can't eat fish where you can still see the eyes and shit.
I'm gonna. No, you don't understand. While I'm a vegetarian, yes, I have been since I was 5, so I've been one for 30 years. By my own choice, my family all ate meat, right? That was just on my 5th birthday, made that decision, right? Doesn't matter. You eat meat. A lot of my friends eat meat. I don't give a fuck, right? Doesn't bother me. It's not the eating meat that I care about.
Oh, no. I'm just apologising because the internet will come for me.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm excusing the fact
fine.
that I know I'm a hypocrite. I admit I'm a hypocrite.
It's blood sports.
I disagree with hunting.
Yeah, blood sports is... the fact it's called blood sport is wrong because it's not a sport. It's just psychotic.
To be honest, I disagree with hunting for food because unless you live in the middle of the mountains or something... There is no need to hunt for food.
Sure.
The supermarket is providing you with all the food that you need.
I mean, this isn't really a podcast for this, but
No.
I mean, the way that we farm animals isn't necessarily good either.
No,
That's,
I know.
again, not me saying everyone should become vegetarian.
But what I'm saying is
vegan.
they're not going to stop farming animals. You can stop hunting.
Yeah, but we can improve farming standards.
Yeah, by going free
By
range.
laws. Well, not just free range. There's legal changes we can make. This is where I disagree a lot with vegans who are like, if we just all didn't eat meat, it's then everything would die.
Oh, so I saw a documentary.
There's stuff that we need to do
Yeah.
by law to improve the standards.
We won't get into this too much, but I do this myth about basically we could fix climate change if we stopped eating meat. Well, actually, I mean, I've seen plenty of documentaries, and to be fair, I don't know if they're better sourced or not than the vegan ones, but I've seen plenty that are the most destructive foodstuff in the world is agriculture, right? Like farming vegetables, because of the amount of pesticides we use and shit, causes just as much damage to the environment. Basically, humans are the problem, and you know what we could do to solve this? T-virus pandemic.
Right, well, you've watched too much Resident Evil again, haven't you?
Wesker did nothing wrong. Hashtag Thanos did nothing wrong.
Oh, no.
Every day, humans come one step closer to self-destruction.
Okay,
I'm not destroying the world. I'm saving it.
So here's a question for you.
Did you get all your ideas from comic book villains? Yep, go ahead.
If Uwe Boll made a 6-film run of Resident Evil movies, do you think
would it be worse than the Anderson ones?
Yeah.
That is the most evil question on planet Earth. That's like Jigsaw. I'd wake up in the reverse bear trap and it'd be like, hello, Jamie. You've wasted your life criticising Paul W.S. Anderson. well, now you can either watch Resident Evil 2002 made by Paul W.S. Anderson on endless repeat, or you can watch this new Resident Evil film made by Uwe Boll on endless repeat. What do you... Crap! I'd set the reverse bear trap off on purpose. Rip my skull open, baby. Because, dear Lord, I can't think of anything worse.
No.
Like, first of all, like, let's just go through this. Let's imagine an Uwe Boll. Tell you one thing he'd get right. He'd make Wesker Aryan. Wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Except he'd make him an actual, literal Nazi.
Yeah.
Spencer would be literal Hitler.
Yep.
Jill would be some fat chick, because he likes that, doesn't he?
He does like
likes
chubby girls.
He likes the larger ladies.
Yep.
And let's see, how racist can we make a Resident Evil film?
Well, let's ask Uwe Boll. He's going to outclass us. He's done worse.
Someone would call Marvin Branner the N-word.
Yep, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean...
One day we're going to be on a film set making a film.
And someone's going to raise this.
Uwe Boll's going to come in with a machine gun and murder us.
Uwe Boll should not be allowed near a film set. If he comes along, I'll be like, where was security? Like,
he's killed them.
We're not allowed scum on our film sets.
Raging Boll has killed them.
Yeah. Here's the thing, right? I'm quite happy now to call him scum because he's a fucking murderer. Yeah. Like, he's not eating that cheetah.
To be fair, you don't know that. He may have eaten the cheetah.
Then it's even more psychotic. It's an endangered species.
A cheetah's endangered?
Yes. Of course they fucking are.
Don't say that like it's obvious. It's not
Big
fucking
cats
obvious.
are all endangered.
I knew tigers were. I didn't know cheetahs were.
Almost all of them are.
They're fast as shit. Why are they endangered?
Yeah,
We're all fucked if cheetahs are getting caught.
Fast as shit is, I think, 45 miles an hour. Bear in mind a rhino can run that. Bear in mind a car can go much faster than that. Bear in mind a bullet goes faster than that. And he had a gun, so he shot it. He didn't... It'd be one thing if he went fucking mono a mono, fist to claw. Fine. He didn't do that. He shot it like a coward.
Hey, I believe Raging Boll could do it. I believe he could knock out He looks like a tough guy. I reckon he could knock out a cheetah.
Yeah,
with his bare hands.
Most psychopaths take care of themselves in that way, don't they? So anyway, let's talk about...
13 minutes of Uwe Boll bashing. I like it.
Well, I mean, this should have... All of Postal should have just been us saying he's a cunt. Anyway, let's talk about the 2021 roundup.
Yeah, what did we watch in 2021, Rory?
On the 22nd of October, we watched Super Mario Brothers from 1993. I stated that I would recommend it to filmmakers because it is certainly with the extras on the Blu-ray, it is an excellent showpiece of how a film can be tanked by a studio.
I remember saying to you, I actually want you to bring it. I want to see the documentary where Bob Hope basically says, fuck the director.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's an awful lot of stuff on there that is very important because people are so genuine and so brutal that, like, most of the time, even if a film doesn't do brilliantly, people will go, oh yeah, of course I enjoyed my experience. It's because there's either a little bit of suck up or maybe they genuinely had some experiences there. A lot of people had negatives and very few people viewed defending Super Mario Brothers as good for their career, so they were really fucking brutal.
So the good points we said on that, from what I remember, the set design was very good.
Yep.
The costume was very good.
Yep.
I think our biggest thing with that was that the studio had thrown the script away a week before.
Yes, and that completely tanked the film. And unfortunately, the directors didn't do what they could have done to really rectify that problem. Though there was a level of that where their hands were tied. But destroying all the storyboards in a fit of rage definitely is not a smart move. You could have used those storyboards to film what you wanted anyway and kind of gotten around the new script in certain ways had you not destroyed your own work. I
don't know if I mentioned this on the Super Mario podcast, so I apologise if I'm repeating a fact. But you know the director John Carpenter?
Yep.
So famously not a fan of studios.
No. After
experiencing studio interference. So he started shooting his films where he wouldn't do any coverage. He would literally only... say he wanted a close-up for only one line. He wouldn't do the whole scene in close-up. He would literally do the one line he wanted.
Right.
Therefore, the studio, even if they replaced his editor that he'd chosen...
They'd have to do his edit.
They'd have to edit it the way he wanted it.
Nice. That's clever. That's really clever.
Man's a genius. It's a shame he don't make anything anymore.
Isn't he dead?
No, John Carpenter's not dead. He's gone into music now. Which, fair enough, if that makes him happy.
Is he a rapper?
No. He does, like, synthy shit.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Hey, man, John Carpenter, you are one of my favourite filmmakers.
Yeah.
And as much as I wish you'd make a film again, I totally get it. If doing music is what makes your soul happy, amen, brother.
Amen to you, man. Now, I recommended it for filmmakers. You didn't recommend it. How's your feeling on that? You still holding there, or?
Yeah, I'm still not recommending it. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's not the worst film we've seen.
Yep, and that's only in 11 episodes. There's far better and far worse to come.
But yeah, no, it belongs to the Ravagers of Time now, and there's a new Super Mario movie coming anyway, so we'll have a new one to hate soon.
We'll talk about that in a minute because that's actually coming in December 2022. So
great, we can see it for my birthday next year.
Yeah,
if I survive that long,
and if they show it like they almost didn't fucking show Raccoon City.
Oh.
So they will show that one though, because that'll be a child.
Of course they will.
So the next one we watched on the 29th of October, which is a Halloween episode, was Stay Alive.
Garbage!
2006. Neither of us recommended this film.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yep. Is there anything about that episode or about that film that you want to question or remember or change?
No. It was a standard mid-2000s bland as fuck horror movie.
Bored the hell out of you,
It was so boring. Yeah. It was garbage. It doesn't understand how video games actually work. It was all bad acting.
Yep.
The best actor in it is Frankie Muniz, and that's saying something.
Oh, I like Frankie Muniz, but yeah, there wasn't really much going on in that film of value. So let's move on to the 5th of November, where we did Sega Hard Girls from 2013.
Bold move of us doing that as our third episode.
Yeah, I think that might be an odd one that, it's very niche. It's so niche, again, that even most Sega fans don't know what we're talking about. I'm going to use clips from that, but I have to carefully pick them because YouTube is very anti-showing any footage of Sega Hard Girls. Like, it seems to have a real hard copyright lock on it, so I'd have to edit that to crap.
But it's a show no one even knows exists.
Yeah, and I think that might be why, because it's such a niche idea, and people would look at that and go, this got made? For some reason, the company that owns it is, super hardcore on you will not show this. I uploaded a 1-minute segment to show someone once. Just on private, it wasn't on, public. It was just I'll show someone a clip from this thing. I uploaded the minute, and it was no, this has been deleted, this has been, it wasn't this has been blocked in certain countries or whatever. It was this has been deleted for copyright infringement, you cannot show this sort of, it was, really hard. Yeah, it was...
I think my most surprising thing about Sega Hard Girls was, didn't you find a Blu-ray copy of this?
Yeah, so in America, a company called Discotech Media released it on Blu-ray.
Crying at the discotheque.
Absolutely. In Japan, it was also released on Blu-ray, but obviously it didn't have English subtitles in Japan, it just had Japanese.
Yeah.
However, the English Blu-ray, or the American Blu-ray, as I say, I had to import it. Again, doesn't work on UK players, so I had to rip it. Doesn't have the bonus episode 14, so I got a DVD version of that, and I personally translated that episode.
Yeah.
So I hold the only translation of that episode.
I remember criticising you in episode 3.
Yep.
So I was like, Rory...
The amount of effort.
I feel like you're putting more effort in than this deserves.
But this is the point. I keep telling you, when we look at films and film work, I go the fucking way. No one says I go half-mast. I fucking go.
Yeah, Rory though. But for Sega Hard Girls.
Sega Hard Girls, incredible.
For a show literally Sega fans don't know exists. I tell you what, the second biggest
I wanted to know what they were saying.
Other than the Blu-ray, the second biggest surprise of Sega Hard Girls was how fucking dark the ending is.
Yeah, well, it's
they die. Let's be clear. I know it goes. They live on as consoles. They die.
It was meant to be sort of emotional and I suppose, what's the word?
Bittersweet.
Not even, kind of bittersweet, but also they're going on to an honourable future, and it's some of these consoles aren't well remembered.
Saturn.
Saturn in Japan was well loved, but yeah, certainly as from a Westerner's perspective, the Saturn was everyone will love me. Fuck off. And I love the Saturn. I adore the Saturn beyond belief, but there is no way I could say it was the most popular console. Even of its generation, it was the least favourite of its generation. So yeah, it's an ending that's meant to be sort of hopeful, but is actually, as you say, really quite dark. They give their lives for fuck all. On the 12th of November, we did Postal. 2007, we've already made our statements about Uwe Boll. Neither of us recommended this. Now, you were close to the line on saying that you might have recommended it until I said the only way you could show it to anyone is to vet your friends.
Yeah, and I will reiterate, it's not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. It is a shockingly bad movie. It's a movie that I don't quite understand how he got away with making it. I was close to recommending it only in the sense of it's so bad that it's quite funny to watch it.
Yes.
But then you pointed out that not everyone has that ironic sense of humour that I've got, and therefore it's probably not safe to recommend it. No. Because a lot of people would actually find it very offensive.
I think they would judge you. Which is not fair.
To be fair,
because they might judge that. To
be fair, on was it the Wizard episode?
Yeah,
where I was saying that the joys of being British is getting to pretend we still have an empire.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, the rest of the world is actually laughing at us.
The thing is people will take that as a joke. If you recommend something like Postal, even as a joke, people will watch it and go, "How can you recommend this?" And they will judge you on that ground, which isn't fair. But it's. However, I do want to clarify something on the Postal episode that, after listening to it back, I feel guilty about. Towards the end of that episode, when we were talking about recommendations, and you started talking about, potentially showing it to people because you enjoyed it, it was very clear that you were getting, not emotional, that's not the word, but you were on a happy high. And I kind of destroyed the happy high by not reading the room. And you were like, and you were like, oh, but I enjoyed watching this with you, and we had a great time because you knew that we were on the same level. We weren't judging each other. We were both sitting there going, what the fuck? And enjoying it on that level. And I enjoyed it on the same level. I want to say that now. I really did enjoy it. But on the episode, you're like, I really enjoyed watching this with you. And I'm like, yeah, so moving on. And I'm like, I was such a dick on the episode. And I didn't mean to be. I just missed the read. Yeah. So,
I don't think it's, I don't think it's the worst Uwe film. It's the most offensive one.
It's the most offensive, but not the worst.
But I don't know if it's the worst made.
No.
House of the Dead's very badly made.
House of the Dead, Blood Rain 2 is very boring, and that's, as you say, as you've said in many other episodes, it's one of the worst things a film can be.
Yeah.
And Postal isn't boring.
Definitely, it's the one thing it's not.
It's the one thing it's not, and it's the one thing, to be honest, I probably would have preferred it being, in some ways, because the only reason it's not boring, let's be honest, is because it's so offensive. Yeah. If it wasn't for the offence, it would be dull.
It's one of those films where the first joke happens and it's offensive as shit.
Yep.
And then you're like, well, it can't get worse than this, and then it does.
Yeah, and to be fair to Uwe, he always finds the next level down to drop himself to.
Nick Cage's brother's in it as well.
Yep. And he turns a man gay with a kiss.
Yes.
Who then decides he's bi because he rubs a woman's breast.
Yeah. Which there's no need to decide. That's what I always like to say.
Well, yeah. Well, there you go.
Right, what did we do after Postal?
After Postal, on the 19th of November, we did Starcade, which was a TV show from 1982 to 83.
So I think
that was our Thanksgiving episode.
I think this is our worst episode.
Okay.
Not the worst thing we've watched.
No.
I just don't think it made a very good episode.
Okay.
It's not the right kind. There's not enough. We tried, bless us.
Yeah.
I listened to the
episode.
episode.
The only way to know is to try one.
Yeah, bless us, we tried hard. I listened to the episode. But there really is not that much you can take the mick out of in a game show. So we really bullied the contestants quite a bit. But we were just like, hello, 40-year-old virgin. You're going to lose to this little girl. We did point out that there's no way that guy could win. No. Because if he lost, he's the pathetic guy who lost to a 10-year-old girl. And if he wins, he's the bully who beat a 10-year-old girl.
Yeah, I did feel sorry for him in that ground.
It was an interesting curiosity to see.
Yeah. We did pad it out with us. I had to go into the history of TV Power and things like that just to push it to a normal episode length. There really wasn't much. I think the other thing as well, we watched 2 episodes of that. Whereas we did Legend of Zelda a few weeks later, and we'll come to that in a minute. We did 4 episodes. So, I think perhaps we hadn't watched as much as we could have done.
Yeah, but there's more to go through when you've got a plot.
There's a narrative, that's what I was going to say. The problem with the game show is if we'd watched more of it, there might have been a couple of elements we could have pulled out. But in general, we'd be going, and then there was another couple of people who played some games, and one won and one didn't.
Unless you get a really outrageous contestant.
Yeah. I mean, we were lucky on the second episode we watched where there was that oddity at the end, where he's just like, what's that? I don't understand that, son. It's arguing arguing with one of the production
cameraman
crew.
or something.
Who's obviously giving him a symbol for something, and he's like, I don't know what you're doing, I can't read that sign. And I put the quote into the episode. It's where I first started putting some of the actual audio from the media, and I've started doing that a bit more, as you probably noticed as I've gone through. And the reason is that sometimes, like, reading it ourselves works sometimes, and in other times it kind of makes sense to get the original audio to not only prove we're not making it up, though I don't think people necessarily would think that, but sometimes the delivery and just showing how weird it is, like, we're not exaggerating. You know, it's not just us, like, it was standout weird that he did that at the end of a proper show, and they didn't do another shot, they didn't do another ending. Yeah, they didn't retake it. But yeah, so we both said no to that one as well. And I know it was your least favourite episode, but I'm guessing you still stand by it being a no. Starcade was quite boring.
Yeah.
From a perspective for me. So far, we're 5 episodes in. You've said no to everything. I've said no to everything except for filmmakers only for Super Mario Brothers, where I've recommended it for them.
A harsh critic, what can I say?
Yeah, well, episode 6 is on the 26th of November, and it's Noobs from 2012. Neither of us recommended this film.
This was the one with the mystery girl on the cover who isn't in the actual
in
film, but is in the cover.
Yeah, it clearly done just to sell the movie.
Yeah.
And the film was for free on YouTube, even though I stupidly bought the German Blu-ray. I bought the Blu-ray, I was like, oh, okay, I'll look for clips of it on... Like, after I'd bought the Blu-ray, I'll look for clips of it on YouTube. Oh, the whole film is here by the production company to watch for free. Yeah, it's not pirated. It's the actual production company.
They're giving it away for free.
There you go.
Because no one would ever pay to watch.
But luckily,
this.
I've got the Blu-ray, so I get to see it in the best quality.
Oh,
that extra few megabytes per second make all the difference.
That badly shot film you get to see, with the camera goes in and out of focus all the time.
Hey, there's 2 moving shots in that film with the camera. Literally 2 shots that move the camera.
So this film was obviously most notable because it had Jay from Jay and Silent Bob in it.
Yep.
It had Lynn Shay in it, and it had Casper Van Dien.
Yep.
Barely. It had him.
Or Casper Van Dien, he wasn't in it much either.
Had him referring to gay people as you people.
Yep.
And basically got...
And a guy who kept getting bashed for being gay.
Yeah,
and
got
whose
most...
nickname was Fraggot.
Yeah, I was going to say, got most of its humour from gay bashing.
Yep, which is great fun.
And I think even ignoring that bit, I think the film, from what I remember, had a really shit narrative structure where everyone's arc gets undone by the ending.
Yeah, the ending basically destroys any potential motive to the story. It just, and then every character is destroyed in post-credits text crawl.
Yes.
Like, where are they now?
When you realise they've learnt nothing.
They've learnt nothing, and they're not, like, for example... the guy who plays Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, he hasn't started a relationship with Zelda Williams. He's instead shagging Casper Van Dien's old wife,
Lynn Shay.
Yeah, and and that's come out of nowhere. Like, he's made a couple of pervy lines.
The best part,
but
of
his
film,
whole thing was a romance, and then he destroys their careers for a romance he then doesn't have.
The best part of the film was Armageddon.
Armageddon, yeah, probably. Frogger. The thing is that he should have been the villain. If he had been the villain, it would have been a better film.
Yeah, like I said, there was no narrative structure to it.
No.
The film sets up 2 different villains. The young kid from, what's his team called?
Oh, the black guy who's from, I can't remember his team's name, but they're all meant to be like kind of black people from the hood, and one of the guys was an old white man.
Yeah, but this was we said in the episode, and I stick by it. It should have been a generational conflict.
Yes,
because you had Armageddon who represented 80s gaming.
Yep.
Then you had those guys who kind of represented like the mid-2000s era, Gears of War 3, stuff like that. And then the young kid and his gang, they should have been the online multiplayer shooter gang, representing like Overwatch and Fortnite and crap like that. Or dare I say it, Minecraft. Well, that's from American Dad, sorry. I've been watching American Dad lately.
Sure. I never remembered the name of the guy when we were doing the episode, but I was like, that Armageddon, he's like that guy, something Mitchell from the 80s who did Donkey Kong. The guy's name is Billy Mitchell. He had the mullet, still has the mullet. Nowadays, Billy Mitchell still has his mullet. And where Armageddon was meant to have had a snow globe business, Billy Mitchell's business is hot sauce.
Right.
And he owns a big hot sauce empire in America. But his whole, his personal thing is wearing black shirts with an American flag tie, with his mullet, getting Donkey Kong victories on high school boards, though half his high scores have been kind of proved, or sometimes not so proved, to be faked. So, yeah, it's kind of I'm not going to put my line on whether he's faked them or not, because it's kind of swings around about. Sometimes Billy Mitchell, proven fraud, and then it's Billy Mitchell, proven not fraud. So I'm keeping out of the because he does sue people who call him fraud if they don't have proof. So I'm not going to call him a fraud. In fact, he probably isn't. Just to save my own bacon, I haven't got the money for you, Billy Mitchell, and your hot wing sauce agency. But this, at the same token, there's been a lot of stuff about him. Anyway, moving on from Noobs, it's not that good a film. Resident Evil 2002. We watched that on the 3rd of December. I recommended it as a cheesy action romp only, but not as a good film. It's not a good film, but it's average, and it's so average at fact we didn't even pick a worst quote for it. It was the lines were not good, but they weren't so bad they made a worse line. It's that level, and you obviously said no.
Of course I did, because I hate Paul W.S. Anderson,
which is a shame, because he's the best director of Resident Evil.
The 2002 is probably the best of the... No.
That and the second one.
The second one is the best one, because at least it has Jill Valentine
at the beginning, it starts off as the best one, and unfortunately it devolves as soon as Milla Jovovich turns up.
Yeah, and you know what else helps the second one? Not directed by Paul Anderson.
Maybe that's why.
Directed by Alexander Witt.
Yeah. He's a great wit.
So I'm trying to be fair and not just go into rage mode, because I want to be fair.
It doesn't help when I jab you with how great.
Because when I was younger, I didn't mind the first Resident Evil until I got more into the games. The first two are the only two that are actually watchable movies, in my opinion.
They are watchable.
Yeah, they're watchable, you can follow them, and let's forget the games exist for a minute. Let's pretend there is only the Resident Evil movies.
What a happy existence that would be.
I know, and it's its own universe. They haven't yet started to break their own internal logic.
Yeah.
It's when you get
the third one onwards, Extinction.
Definitely the fourth one onwards, and I think, the third one kind of, they really start to just completely break their own internal logic and break the very fundamentals of narrative storytelling.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the third one is the world has run out of water, everything's dried up, there's just all desert, and then in the next one, it's normal again.
Yeah, and I can tell you the reason for that. The reason for that is because the third one's also not directed by Anderson.
Right.
He wrote it, but he didn't direct it. The reason for that is purely that the director who did that came in and went, hey, what if Mad Max but zombies?
Right.
And the studio went, yes, that sounds good. And then they went, oh, but this isn't a Mad Max desert world. Fuck it, I guess T-Virus dehydrates the Earth now?
Well, it's a very thirsty virus.
Well, yeah.
Certainly if you look at Resident Evil fan art.
Well, even though...
very thirsty.
Yeah. Even though in the original Resident Evil, they explicitly say that it doesn't remain airborne for very long.
Yeah.
It burns itself out very quickly. Otherwise, everyone who entered the hive would have become infected.
Yeah. So, it just doesn't make any sense. So, I'm guessing you're not changing your mind on that film.
Hell no.
I'm not changing my mind on it particularly. If I was, it would be to make it a not recommend, but I still think it's watchable.
I realise I'm going to be very unpopular on this show, because I don't think I'll be recommending... maybe I'll reconsider when we watch them, but I don't think I'll be recommending any of the Anderson films. And as, not to spoil what we're going to get to shortly, but... I much prefer Welcome to Raccoon City, which I know there were people
let's go
out
on to
there
that now. That was on the 10th of December. We did Welcome to Raccoon City. Brand new release. It was our first brand new release.
It was. It's the film I've looked forward to all year.
Yep, we both recommended it.
We did. It's the only one I've recommended.
It's the only one we agree on because it's the only one you've recommended. No, sorry, no, we've recommended no before together, but yeah, this is the first one it's the only one you've recommended, and I recommended it as well.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong.
You preferred it than you liked it more than I did.
I did. I acknowledge there's faults with it.
Yeah.
It is not a perfect adaptation.
It's not.
It's not a perfect movie.
I'd say it's mildly above average.
Yeah, I respect. Yeah, but to be honest, Anderson had lowered the bar so much.
Oh,
that
I agree.
It literally just needed to be watchable, and I would have
Yeah,
recommended
I mean,
it.
if somebody made a new House of the Dead movie,
The bar would be low as fuck.
yeah. If they made a film that was like a 3 or 4 out of 10, it would be gold compared to Uwe Boll's attempt. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So I see your point.
I also appreciate the limitations that Johannes Roberts was forced to work with.
Yep.
The fact that it has a lower budget than any of the Anderson movies.
Yep.
The fact it was shot during the COVID pandemic.
Yep.
Therefore because we actually worked out, didn't we, while we were watching it, while we were doing the episode, that we don't think there's ever a bit where there's more than 6 characters on screen.
Yeah, I think the pandemic had a lot to do with that, as well as budget.
I think it did, and I think it's a real shame we're probably not going to get the sequel, because god damn it, I want to see Code Veronica on film.
Yeah. Now, this might upset you, but I know. But we've talked about the W.S. Anderson Resident Evils, Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evils, and you stated that the second and third films weren't directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. He was basically a producer on them. Now
He wrote them as well.
Yeah. Now, Welcome to Raccoon City, is that technically a Paul W.S. Anderson movie because he's
No,
got a credit in it?
He is only credited as an executive producer.
Right.
And as anyone who knows anything about film knows,
They don't do fuck.
Executive producer is basically a courtesy credit. I think basically he kind of sort of still owns the rights to the series or something.
Right. He just doesn't want to do them anymore.
Yeah, or something like that.
Maybe.
So they had. It's definitely not considered part of the Anderson verse.
Right.
It's the Johannes Roberts verse.
Yeah.
And I hope he's given a chance for another one.
So do I.
It's Miles.
I'd watch a second one.
It was funnier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
It had that B-movie vibe to it, which I really enjoy. I think
sometimes it was tonally wrong, but
yeah,
other than
sometimes it was.
Yeah.
And I'm not, and we even did a rewrite of it on the episode, didn't we?
Yeah. In fact, you did that. I didn't even rewrite any of it.
Where we basically said you shouldn't have had Lisa Trevor in the film.
Yep.
And also that Wesker should have been working for Umbrella.
Yeah. There was no reason for
yeah, still have him kill Birkin.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you know what? I'm going to be fair to the Anderson for the first Anderson Resident Evil. It's not that film is entirely terrible. There are good moments in it. It's hard for me to admit that because of what he went on to do to the franchise.
Yeah.
But the laser corridor, which later became garbage because he overused it, but that first time, it was cool.
Yeah.
Especially when it gets one who, you know, he's doing a good job of dodging the lasers and then it effectively cheats.
Yeah. It absolutely cheats on that poor bastard.
Yeah. The big problem with... and, you know, there's a couple of badass lines in it as well, where they're like, I shot her 5 times. How is she still standing? Bitch ain't standing now.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's not a worst quote. I can't put it in worst
No, that
quotes
was a
'cause
badass line.
Badass line. And there's no worst quote that we could use from that film.
I like the fact that in some scenes the liquor was a practical effect as well.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing we did credit that film with that we said was a problem in Welcome to Raccoon City. Welcome to Raccoon City's ending doesn't feel like it's a climax to anything.
Yeah.
There's no build to it.
Whereas you know that you're at a finale with
the 2002 Resident Evil feels like a finale. It feels like you're building to something, and even though the liquor is just a generic enemy in the game, the liquor feels badass in that film.
Yeah.
I just wish Mila Jovovich was a better actress. I wish it was better direct. Like, it's ugly. It's an ugly film.
It is a very like cinematography is ugly.
Everything's
like,
beige and concrete.
Yeah, it needed a bit more. Yeah, it could have been more visually arresting. The irony is when she wakes up in the mansion section, that looks pretty good.
Near the beginning.
But then they're just going to generic underground
tunnels
yeah. and stuff.
It's all,
and so
everything's silver.
everything's silver or brown, and that's it. It's just like, oh, is that... it's such a shame. Anyway,
And the music, the fucking heavy metal music whenever they're firing
that was a very early
weapons.
2000s thing to do.
Yeah,
'cause
well...
it happened in Rollerball 2002 as well.
The sound... I don't know if you know this, the soundtrack to the first Resident Evil is all done by Marilyn Manson.
Oh, okay.
And the main song over the end credits is Slipknot.
Right. So it's very of the era with the soundtrack. Yeah. On the 17th of December, we did Legend of Zelda 1989, a series that neither of us recommended. What are your thoughts thinking back on that? Would you recommend it now? Would you?
Well, excuse me, princess.
That's the one.
It was badly animated. It was... Don't get me wrong. We're grown men, and it was clearly aimed at children.
Yeah.
But it was badly animated. It was not great storytelling. It was terrible voice acting. And above all, it was weird, pervy Link. Now, I've never played Legend of Zelda.
He's not
But
pervy in
I'm
it.
sure he's not trying to...
He's not a perv in any of them, from what I've seen.
Yeah, well, he doesn't speak, does he, Link?
No, he's got no voice. And yeah, in this, he can't help but...
He can't shut up!
He doesn't shut up, and it's all moaning. He's always moaning.
It's Link as played by Deadpool.
Yeah, well, no, he's not played by Deadpool, because he's a complete fucking incel.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Like, so... At the end of that episode, wasn't recorded, I added it on, and obviously you've heard that now. After we finished talking
No,
and
I
doing
haven't.
our bit...
No, I haven't, because the episode's not out yet.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Because at the
point we record
so we're
this.
pre-recording.
Yeah, of course. Right, okay, well, at the end, there is a section I added on, which was...
Supercut.
Yeah, so we watched the first 4 episodes and then did the episode. I actually took some voice samples from the 5th and 6th episodes because I was looking for more "excuse me, princess."
Yeah, he says
bits
it
to add
once in every episode, doesn't he?
He says it once in the titles, but actually I found a couple of episodes where he doesn't say it after that, which means that the 29 times he says it in the 13, 15-minute episodes, he must do it 3 times in some of the others later down the line. Now, at the beginning of episode 5, I had to add it in because it is weird. Link is... it opens up with Link throwing a hook on a hook and rope over the top of the parapet.
Grappling hook is
Yeah,
the word
grappling
you're looking
hook.
for.
Sorry, yeah, over the parapet of this tower, and underneath you can see Zelda is lying on her bed reading a book. Link is trying to swing in through her window uninvited, right?
Rape.
And as he goes to do it, the king comes up behind him and goes, "Link, what are you doing?" Right, so the king's caught him, and he goes, I was gonna swing into Zelda's window and try and give her a kiss. Right? Actually states it to the king, and the king goes, "No."
No, that's
Right?
not about that, Link.
There's a pause where you think, okay, king's got this covered, and then he goes, "You need to take flowers. Women will do anything so long as you give them flowers." I was like, what the fuck? Her dad's in on it.
Ladies, want to write into the show? Let us know if that's true.
And what's annoying is he does it and it works.
If we give you... Does it?
It works in the
See?
show. He swings
Ladies,
in,
if we give you
breaks
flowers,
into her
will
room,
you do
goes,
anything?
gives her the flowers. She's like, "Oh, that's so cute. Oh, I suppose a little kiss." And obviously, as the show does, he never ends up getting his kiss because of reasons. But like, it's just like, how is the dad in on it? And yeah, it's so terrible.
The most interesting thing from that show was Ganon's design. Because I didn't realise Ganon was a warthog.
Yeah, obviously it's before Ganondorf, the design of the sort of more goblin human character, was invented in about 96, 97 for Ocarina of Time.
Goblin.
So he had that sort of pig warthogish sort of look. The one positive of Legend of Zelda that I think is genuinely good was the music, because it was very reminiscent of the games. They did a very good job with that, but that's about it. So our Christmas episode on the 24th of December was The Wizard from 1989. I hard recommended it. I was like, yeah, this is great. You were like, as much as you saw what they were trying to do, it didn't work for you.
Yep, that's right.
Yep. I don't doubt you've changed your mind by this point, but no, that's fine. I would definitely... It's definitely a film that's polarising, and just from the two of us. Now, my partner liked it. She doesn't like video games at all, but she liked the story of that, so it sold for her. It sold for me based on that story as well, and the video game stuff was just kind of a cooler side for me. But yeah, as you say, there was a miss there for you. And then we did on the 31st of December, which is yesterday, it was New Year's Eve, we did Sonic the Movie from 1996. And I said...
the animated movie, not the Jim Carrey one.
That's the one, so the Jim Carrey one we will get to. We're going to watch that the week before the release of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and we will then review that on release as well. Now, I recommended it to Sonic fans only, kind of like old school Sonic fans only. You said you wouldn't recommend it at all, even to them. You know that there'd be a niche that would like it, but in general, you couldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
I don't think we've changed our minds on those, because we only did those very recently, so not much point in us delving too much over those. But you know where we are now. Now let's talk about worst quotes, because there's a couple of entries here that I want to add into worst quotes, if you agree with them.
Yeah, hit me.
So we've got the first worst quote from Super Mario Brothers, which we agreed in the episode. I had Pete.
This was the I was adopted
Daisy.
one.
Yeah, I had this rock when they found me. Oh yeah, I was adopted. I was abandoned. Sorry. Oh yeah, I was abandoned. And you're like. Just that, but she says it quite happily and cheerfully.
Yeah, like she's literally just said, "Oh, I bought some apples today."
Yeah, I was abandoned. Oh, all right, cheers, cool, see you later. It's weird delivery of the line doesn't help as well. We had "Stay Alive," where we had two quotes from "Stay Alive."
Was this the one about the wrist support being gay?
No, we didn't include that one.
Right.
The two we took from "Stay Alive" was one from Hutch.
I've got a thing for fire.
I've got a thing with fire. It's no big deal. And we also took another one from Abigail when she meets Hutch at the funeral.
I think I remember this.
Yep.
Everyone's crying, but you're the saddest one here.
Yeah, so the quote is, "There's so many crying faces at this funeral. Yours seemed to be the saddest, but you weren't crying."
Fucking emo shit
so
posting.
bad, yeah.
Like, that is exactly the kind of shit you expect to hear from a My Chemical Romance fan.
Absolutely.
And I say that as a My Chemical Romance fan.
Oh, I didn't know you were that way.
Yeah.
No, I'm afraid
Black
we can't
Parade, my friend.
We cannot be friends.
We carry on.
Stop, that's triggering. You will never sing emo in my presence.
Not a fan of My Chemical Romance?
No.
Fair enough.
Sorry. Anyway, yeah, no, I genuinely don't like My Chemical Romance, but it doesn't really trigger me all that. So, we move on to Sega Hard Girls. Now, we didn't have a worst quote. So we stated in the episode there is no worst quote because it's all in Japanese. There is no way we could possibly quote anything from the show.
Yeah, you don't get any bad line reads, do you?
Except... over the course of several episodes, you ended up quoting Sega Hard Girls a few times.
True. Also, one quick thing.
But it's more
actually an absence of a quote is also part of the worst quote. 'Cause we both agreed that one of the really bad things about the show was the Sonic episode and the fact that Sonic doesn't speak. So the absence of a quote was very bad. There's a Sonic episode in Sega Hard Girl.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
We both said, like, because he doesn't speak, it feels really out of character for Sonic.
Yeah, the fact that he's
really
mute,
disjointed.
Yeah, I mean that was bad on the episode. However, I still want us to take a quote.
Yeah.
If you agree, it's not necessarily that we're taking a phrase. Like, this is quite unique because then everything else is like, I've got a thing with fire. It's no big deal. It's a direct quote from the film. In this one, it's just a term.
Word.
Spillage. Someone at a competition recommends that when they're doing a dress-up competition, if a girl shows spillage, then she's more likely to win. And a girl wins by showing an awful lot of spillage. You're like, spillage, what does that mean? And then you realise that spillage means that she's got her knockers out, or that she's showing more flesh. So, spillage...
Oh, don't say it like that. Don't say flesh.
Flesh.
Sounds like you're a cannibal. Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh, don't do that noise.
But yeah, so because you ended up using it, you used it in the Resident Evil episode at least, as well as a couple of others. I think Noobs you used it in. Because it's such a cringe term, there is no way you should ever refer to a woman's nudity as spillage.
No.
It is disgusting.
Which implies it's accidental as well. Like, oh, look, my breast just spilled out.
Oh,
of
no,
my
there's
top.
the spillage. So, yeah, I want to enter that in. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to put spillage in as a worst, not as a quote, I suppose, but as a phrase. Postal, we had one, which was "One night with me and she'll look like she was hit with the mayonnaise truck."
Yeah. Yeah. Did we also put the watchtower one in?
We didn't. It's up to you if you want to add that
Oh,
line.
it's a terrible joke.
I would put it in, but the thing is, I'm pretty certain the mayonnaise truck is a unique line for Postal.
Definitely never heard
Because
it
there is
before.
no such thing as a fucking mayonnaise truck.
Yeah, mayonnaise isn't delivered on trucks.
Well, it is, but not on its own. You don't get,
Yeah,
like,
it's not like
the
the milk
Hellman's
truck.
mobile is coming into town.
Wouldn't Milk Truck have been the more sensible quote? Like, you know, one night with me, she'd look like she'd been hit by the milk truck.
Yeah, but no, mayonnaise. Had to be mayonnaise. It's
Don't get
congealed.
me wrong, I'd rather lick mayonnaise off of a person, than milk. But
There's that lip smackaroo again. Starcade, we had a quote. Surprisingly enough, we found one.
I know what it was. It was the C didn't do too well that round, but she actually did really well.
No, that wasn't what we used as the worst
is
quote.
it the little girl when he says, "Are you excited?" or something, and she goes, "Yes," or something like that.
No. So the worst quote we had for this was from the 4th season episode. It was the guy saying, 1970, a great year, but not a great score.
You did some research on this.
I did some research, so allow me to show you...
You fact-checked old Jeff.
I did fact-check Jeff. Now, bear in mind, Starcade is an American show. So I only looked up on Wikipedia. Now, I know Wikipedia can be altered, but in general, for this sort of stuff, it's usually quite accurate. And I looked up what happened in America in 1970. Now, I won't go through the whole list, because there's quite a few things on here. But what I will say is, I tallied up all the things that you could classify as good, and all the things that you could classify as bad.
Depends on your point of view, Rory.
A couple of them are. Some of them, not really. So, I counted 16 good, 17 bad, right?
That's a fairly average year.
That you'd think. However, I think the extremity it makes the difference here. Like, the extremes of the bad way outweighed the extremes of the good.
So what are you good? Give me a good.
So, the first good, for example, was All My Children first aired on ABC. A popular TV show, right?
Right, yeah.
There are some more important ones. Richard Nixon bans TV advertising of cigarettes, if that's your bag. And there's one where he withdraws troops from Cambodia. So there's a couple on there. US gets first female generals, Anna Mae Hayes and Elizabeth B. Hoisington. So there's a couple of good ones on there, to be fair. There's a couple of good ones. Elvis Presley tours for the first time since 1958.
Wow.
So if you consider, a 1970 bloated Elvis Presley tour as a good thing. However,
king.
it's a sort of offset Elvis Presley touring.
Oh, boy.
You have the deaths of Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin.
Oh, man.
You have the fact that the Beatles broke up. And Diana Ross left the Supremes. So, all of those four for the one retour of Elvis Presley.
Yeah, well, Elvis Presley's the king.
He is the king. However, some of these other ones might be a little more extreme. Like, bear in mind,
Brutal
all of the
murders.
other goods I've got, yes. So, all the other good ones I've got, like, Land Speed Record was broken. Rodgers and Hammerstein's Oklahoma makes a network debut. The World Trade Center's North Tower is the tallest building in the world. All of that stuff. That wasn't dangerous at that time. It's only dangerous in post because of what happened at 9/11. However, let me read just 3 run-on-ones. They run on one to the next in the bad section, right? April 29th, US invades Cambodia to hunt the Viet Cong. So,
I thought you just said he pulled out.
yeah, that's later.
Right, okay.
He pulls
so we're
out
in
after
April.
having invaded them.
Right, so, well, of course, you famously have to pull out after actually invading.
Yep, but
Can't
it-
really pull out if you haven't entered
The point
first.
is, both were Nixon's decisions, so he invaded for fuck all.
But he is not a croc.
Nixon's invasion of Cambodia sparks a nationwide riot leading to the Kent state shootings.
Oh, shit.
Now, so that's 2. The 7th one, May 4th, the Kent State shootings. 4 students at Kent State University are killed, 9 are wounded, by Ohio National Guard during a protest. So essentially, the National Guard are called in and they just decide to riddle bullets into
crowd.
school children.
Jesus.
Then on May the 8th, there's the Hard Hat riot. Unionised construction workers attack 1,000 students protesting the Kent State shootings. So the students...
Why would you attack people for protesting murder?
Exactly my point. And I'm like, well, Elvis Presley coming back doesn't really offset all those murders.
Oh, I don't know. Have you ever heard Love Me Tender?
Well, they're very tender after being riddled with bullets.
Jailhouse Rock?
They didn't make it to jail. They got killed, man.
Blue Suede Shoes?
Well, I suppose it's leather, really, isn't it? So
I went
take
to
their
a party
skin.
in the county jail.
So yeah, 1970. I think we can quite safely say
year.
not a good
You
year.
don't know, Jeff might have been on the hard hat side. So he's like, yeah, fuck them students.
Fuck them guys. So, the next one is Noobs. Now, we didn't have a worse quote for Noobs. We said it was too boring. for there to be
Yeah.
and there wasn't really any lines that stood out.
The use of the name Fraggot was particularly bad, though.
It was bad, but it's not one that I'd want to quote.
Yeah.
However, I did think in post there might be one. We did say it in the episode, but we didn't classify it for a worse line. So I want to run it by you, see what you think. Thank you for riding D's nuts. I mean, it's fucking bad.
I knew you were going to say that. Thank you for riding D's nuts. Yeah, fuck it. We got to pick one for the episode, haven't we?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, we don't have to, because I couldn't find any for Resident Evil. It's just too bland.
So let's see. Options you've got that are bad. I mean, there's bad deliveries. Like, there's a really cheesy delivery. A really cheesy delivery that is almost on par with original Resident Evil delivery.
Okay.
Is when he finds the blood and he's like, it's coagulated, but that's impossible. Why? Because blood doesn't do that until after you're dead.
Yeah, but that's more explanatory.
Yeah.
It's not really. It's not like I've got a thing with fire. It's no big deal. Where
Yeah.
or certainly there's so many crying faces at this funeral,
Yeah.
like, where it's really sniffing your own
that's
farts.
really bad. Wouldn't want to shoot you, might need the bullets.
It's not. Is that a bad line? That's what I mean. It's like it's not a. I mean, thank you for riding D's nuts. It's so bad. You're like, oh my god,
I tell you
really?
what's pretty cheesy bad is when the Red Queen, which remember is a emotionless computer,
Yep.
goes, "I've been a bad girl."
Oh, that is bad. That is bad. I
when
remember
she's
that.
let out the liquor.
Yeah. Maybe we should throw that... Jesus, she's gruffing away there, son. I think we should throw that out to an audience.
Yeah, what's the worst line in the 2002 Resident Evil movie?
Yeah, and you know, do you think it's I've been a bad girl, or is it maybe another one? So we move on to Welcome to Raccoon City. We had two from Jill. Both from Jill.
Yeah, man, Jill.
Jill had some shit lines.
Although we did agree that Birkin's "Did you think you could be part of my family" came out of fucking nowhere.
That came out of nowhere. I don't think the line is bad. It's the fact that it's how it's placed and there was no build up to it. Whereas "You snooze, you lose, it's a Jill sandwich now" is a bad line.
Yeah, but it's not as bad as "How would you rather die eaten by a giant shark or giant snake?"
Be swallowed whole by a snake or a great white shark. Both of those are bad lines.
What's the best line in it? I think it might be
just a little crush.
Probably. Do you know what I think it might be?
I think it has to be Irons.
I did this imitation in the thing, but I want to do it again.
Yeah, go ahead.
When he's like, "Who's Oswald E. Spencer?" It's like, he was the owner of the Umbrella Corporation who built this mansion, and he lived there until his death in... What the fuck are you doing here, Rocky?
Yeah.
You said everyone in the briefing room. Not you! Who's manning the front desk? Get out there in case an old lady used to rescue a fucking cat up a fucking tree.
Yeah. While I
may have added more fuckings in there.
Sure.
But Brian Irons definitely has the best lines in that film.
Brian Irons sweeps the floor with best lines in that film.
And probably the best comedy delivery, Donald Logue, as well.
He's very good at that, though.
Although,
yeah.
I do want to throw a shout out to Avon Yaguirre as well, who played Leon.
Leon plays it well.
He had good comedic timing. And do you know what
I didn't like what they did with Leon, but the guy delivered it well.
You know, he's actually a Disney Channel actor.
Most of them were, I think.
When he was younger, no. Kea Scodelario is actually British, Claire.
Right.
And she's most well known before growing up. When she was a teenager, she was on the show Skins. Hannah John Carmen is also English, most well known for appearances in Black Mirror, the sci-fi series Killjoys, and she's also the villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Tom Hopper. There's a lot of Brits in this. Tom Hopper is also British.
It's because we're the best.
But Robbie Amell, who played Chris, he's most well known for doing comedies.
Yeah.
He actually plays Robin's boyfriend Scooby in How I Met Your Mother, who is a dog in a man's body. Avon Yaguirre was on, I want to say, it was one of the Disney Channel shows that was, or Nickelodeon shows that was after I'd stopped watching stuff like that.
Sure.
But it was one of the big ones. I want to say it was Victorious.
Right.
But I could be wrong.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Donald Logue is definitely the funniest in it.
Yeah, he's definitely got the best lines.
He's just a master of comedy. The film did lose something once Irons was gone.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, absolutely did. Because there was no standout characters anymore after that point, really.
Which was a big change from the games, because in the games, he's actually a murderous rapist / psychopath.
Yeah. We then moved on to Legend of Zelda. Now, we had a line for those. Hey, excuse me,
It's
princess.
got to be. It's the catchphrase.
It's the catchphrase, but it's not just that it's the catchphrase, because I wouldn't just throw in a catchphrase in there and just go, oh, that one will work.
It's how
because
badly it's used.
Yeah, we didn't use a catchphrase from Super Mario Brothers, the movie, because none of them, well, they're not necessarily great, they're not that bad, but yeah, excuse me, princess, and the way it's said every time is just vile.
He always drags out the excuse.
Yeah, excuse me. Then we had The Wizard, which had the worst quote of, I love the Nintendo Power Glove. It's so bad. Which is 100% accurate to reality. It is so bad. And then we had Sonic the Movie, where we had 2 quotes. You might know everything I'm going to do, but that's not going to help you, since I know everything you're going to do. Strange, isn't it? Which has the weirdest delivery of the word strange I've ever heard in my life. I would actually like to see a film of Doctor Strange, where everyone who mentions his name has to say it in the voice of Sonic from the Sonic movie. Now that we're alone, ladies and gentlemen, Jamie has agreed that in 2022, he's going to recommend more movies, because he realises that he's been actually a very tight bastard with handing out yeses. What?
What was that you always bring to the mic?
I said nothing. There is no evidence. So Sonic the Movie, we actually had 2 quotes. One from Robotnik, Sonic will never again be a pain in my egg. I know there's a thing where they try to shoehorn egg into everything with Dr. Robotnik / Eggman, but that was a terrible choice. Like, if you can't do it, just don't do it.
Yeah.
So that was our 2021. How are you feeling on that? How are you feeling on that, Jamie?
I'm regretting ever signing up to do this podcast.
Excellent. Well, we've got more to come. So in 2022, obviously, there's plenty of weeks where we'll be doing stuff that's already come out and is to us historic as in it's not new. However, there is some new stuff coming out. Now, I'll read the first... Yeah, so the first 3 are the only 3 I have dates for right now. However, I think the others that I'm going to mention will be out this year. It's just that they haven't yet been dated. Okay. So the first one, Friday the 18th of February, is Uncharted.
With Tom Holland.
Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, as well as Antonio Banderas.
In a role that literally everyone agreed Nathan Fillion should actually be playing.
Yes, and Nathan Fillion put his name forward, but they wanted Tom Holland, I'm guessing, because he's a hotter property right now, being Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Now, it's directed by Ruben Fleischer.
Oh, I know that name.
Yep, he directed Zombieland in 2009 and Venom in 2018.
Oh, Venom is not a good movie.
It's not a terrible film, but it's not a great film. It's an average film. I watched Venom, so it's one of the few superhero movies that I watched just because it was on.
Poorly.
Well, it was on Netflix, so it's free.
Well, it's not free. It's whatever £1 a month.
Yeah, I suppose. Uncharted is going to be a prequel to the games. That's why they've chosen Tom Holland. He's going to be younger.
That's fair enough. That explains it.
Mark Wahlberg was originally also slated to play Nathan Drake, but because they changed the timing to make him younger, it makes sense that Mark Wahlberg can't really play a man in his early 20s anymore.
No. I'm actually unfamiliar.
I like Mark Wahlberg, but he's not that young anymore.
I'm actually unfamiliar with Uncharted. From my limited understanding, and don't kill me, PlayStation fans, because I haven't had a PlayStation since the PS2, it is basically Tomb Raider but man.
Kind of, yeah. It's very. I mean, it's certainly, I think the reboot of Tomb Raider took a lot of inspiration from Uncharted. Yeah. But Uncharted undoubtedly took inspiration from the original Tomb Raider, so it's like one knocking on back to the other.
Incestuous at this point.
Yeah, and the only other thing I know about this film is that it's the first feature of Sony PlayStation Productions. So while Sony has their own production studio, it looks like they've opened up a unique production studio for Sony PlayStation, which is interesting and different.
That is interesting.
Yeah. On Friday the 8th of April, there's Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and that stars Ben Schwartz, James Marsden, Jim Carrey, all those 3 were in the original, and Idris Elba coming in as Knuckles. It's directed by Jeff Fowler, who directed the original Sonic the Hedgehog in 2019, and he's also directing another upcoming film this year called The Pink Panther. I'm guessing based on the Pink Panther series. I'm not sure if that's going to be the Pink Panther TV show or if that's going to be like the film with Clouseau.
Yeah, Clouseau or the animated.
Because bear in mind that I struggled to find stuff he's directed. He's usually in the animation department of films, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2019 seemed to be his first actual direction, like main directed feature. So the fact that and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 are both heavy on CGI leads me to believe that the Pink Panther might be an adaptation of the animation rather than
Yeah.
the Clouseau films, but I don't know that for sure. All I know is that that's a name that's in his repertoire.
Interesting note about this movie, it is confirmed that for some reason they didn't do this with any of the other characters, but Tails will be voiced by the voice actor from the games.
Yes, to be honest, I don't think they could find a celebrity that would pull off a similar enough voice to Tails.
Yeah. Well, Sonic, we all did it together.
Mickey Mouse's voice actor, maybe, I don't know.
I can kind of do Mickey Mouse sometimes. Oh, Jeepers, Pluto.
Hey, Pluto!
Oh.
Anyway, Jim Carrey said he'd wear a fat suit for this, but apparently it didn't happen, but he has got the moustache.
Here's the thing, and I'm allowed to say this as a fat guy before the internet comes for me. Apparently it's offensive for thin actors to wear fat suits now.
Okay.
Go fucketh yourselves.
Okay.
I say that as a very, very fat guy, very large and in charge, as they say. I'm not offended when I see a thin person put on a fat suit.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, to be honest,
it's been done since the dawn of time. The whole point of acting is to be someone you're not.
The one thing that kind of makes me okay with him not being as rotund as Robotnik in the game is Jim Carrey's portrayal of Robotnik in the first film. I was really worried about that because he didn't look anything like the Doctor himself. But his performance sold it up to me during the film. I was worried that if they put him in a fat suit to make him as rotund as Robotnik, that it would actually hinder his physical performance.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of all right with the fact that he's not going to be in a fat suit, because that would be the worry. I think Jim Carrey could maybe use the fat suit to his advantage if he did it. But it was still a concern. There's a coffee shop in the film apparently named the Mean Bean, which would be a reference to Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean machine. Here's a fact if you didn't know about Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean machine. It was never released in Japan, because technically the game had already been released in Japan as Puyo Pop. And there's a whole series of Puyo Pop games, Puyo Pop Fever, Puyo Pop, you just look up Puyo Pop, you'll see there's a whole ream of them. It was just because at the time they didn't think that Puyo Pop would sell as a brand in the West, because it had very anime characters in it, in the chatty sequences in between levels, and it was all sort of like, oh, everything's all amazing and poppy, and it's so super childish anime. And they're like, no one's going to buy this. That they turned it into part of the Sonic franchise to try and sell it. And Gun is apparently in this from Sonic Adventure 2, though apparently according to this, and I don't think this is accurate to the games, but it does say on IMDb that GUN stands for Guardian Units of Nations. I'm not sure if it stood for that in the games. I don't recall that ever coming up before. No. So I'm guessing that's just what it's meant to stand for in the film. Wednesday the 21st of December, we have Super Mario Brothers the movie, starring Chris Pratt as Mario, Charlie Day as Luigi, Jack Black as Bowser, Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach. Now, Anya Taylor-Joy might be a name that's not familiar to as many people.
Oh, I don't know. She's had a few big hits these last few years.
Yeah, specifically Queen's Gambit on Netflix.
Gambit, Last Night in Soho.
Yeah, so she's definitely a name that's earned a place there, but I just know that...
Oh, she's a terrific actress.
Oh, she's fantastic.
I'm not going to lie. She's too good for a Super Mario Brothers film.
Yeah, and Seth Rogen's in it.
He's Toad, isn't he?
No, he's playing Donkey Kong. And
oh, yes, he's Donkey Kong.
Now, if anything turns me away from this film, it's Seth Rogen being in it. Because Seth Rogen can't act.
Actually, I could...
Seth Rogen is just Seth Rogen in everything he does.
He's not what turns me away from it. I can see him as Donkey Kong. What turns me away from it, and I realise, again, I'm going to be the internet's whipping boy for this, is Jack Black as Bowser.
Oh.
I don't think that's going to be any good. But to be honest, and I like Chris Pratt and Charlie Day, I know it's fashionable to hate Chris Pratt at the minute because apparently he's offended people because he's religious or something.
I couldn't give a fuck.
But
yeah,
I don't know the story. If anyone wants to tell me, feel free to. But basically, like... The characters are meant to be Italian-Americans.
And none of these people
Bob Hoskins at least did an Italian-American accent.
He based that on his Italian-American accent he put on for Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I just can't see, and I could be wrong, I may be underestimating their acting ability.
Yeah.
But I don't see Charlie Day and Chris Pratt being able to do authentic Italian accents. Now, I think it's been confirmed they're not going to. They're just going to do their standard American voices.
Oh, no, they can't just do their own voices. There's a whole... this is what annoys me with this. Like, they're not hiring Seth Rogen because you think his voice sounds similar to Donkey Kong. That's the only reason. Because he doesn't do voices and he doesn't do acting. So you'll just get Seth Rogen with, painted over by Donkey Kong.
You say that, but I actually want to see... There's a Seth Rogen film. It was a low-budget, independent, artsy film that got lots of attention called... I think it's called An American Pickle or something like that.
Okay.
But apparently, that's an actual acting role. Like, he's not just Seth Rogen in it. I'd like to see that.
Maybe. The other thing that doesn't really help with, my trust in this film, it's got 2 directors.
Oh, we've been here before.
Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic, right? Now, these are 2 names that I've not heard of before, so I looked at their history. The only thing, really, that they've ever done before is Teen Titans Go. So, I mean, just to put parallels to the 1993 movie out here, full of celebrities, some of which you may or may not be well cast for the roles.
I mean, don't know, it was a bad film. But it's not to criticise him because he's a lovely guy, but it's a big drop from Dennis Hopper to Jack Black, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not quite
Dennis Hopper.
Is it?
You know what I mean?
Chock full of celebs. Directed by 2 directors, not 1. And
not husband and wife this time.
Not husband. Well, maybe you don't know. They might be.
What did you say the names were?
Well, they're not married, but they weren't married in Super Mario Bros. 93 either.
Were they?
No.
Oh, that's something I made up in my head then.
Well, they were a couple.
Right.
They didn't share a last name. They were both, and I don't think they ever got married. But yeah, so the 2 directors of this are only known for one thing, Teen Titans Go. And similarly, the 2 directors for Super Mario Bros. Movie prior were only really known for Max Headroom. So they'd done something that was popular and then got given the Mario license. Yeah. So I just think there's a lot of red flags here that people are forgiving because it's animation. But bear in mind that just because something's animated doesn't make it gold.
I mean, you say people are giving it a pass. Literally all the feedback I hear for this movie is people are hating on it.
Right.
Because people are very against the fact that Chris Pratt's been hired.
I
just want to... Actually, I want to clear something
I like Chris Pratt, but if he's not going to bother doing...
A voice, and it's just going to be Chris Pratt's voice, then no. Yeah, it's the wrong voice for Mario.
Yeah.
He doesn't sound like a short, fat Italian plumber.
Now, Charles Martinet, who does the voice for Mario in the games, he is in it. He's been given a cameo as some other character, which is weird. But yeah, I mean, all the other characters, Toad is in this, and it's Key from Key and Peele.
Oh, okay.
Every role is what celebrity can we squeeze in, and not necessarily what actor would fit this role.
And this is something that a lot of people on the internet kick off about. I don't know if you've ever seen this. This has been on the last few animated movies that have come out. Basically, people are angry that whenever an animated film comes out now, the fashion is to not use voice actors.
Yes.
It's to use celebrity actors.
And this is exactly what this is doing.
So I feel 2 ways about this. Because on the one side, for example, using Mario as the example, this clearly is all wrong.
Yeah.
It's all kinds of wrong. But on the other flip of that, as an actor myself, regular actors are also voice actors. Not
necessarily. There is a slightly different skill required.
Like, some of these people, though, they literally claim like it's a completely different thing. It's not. It's just that voice actors don't have the X factor that producers are looking for to be on camera.
Well, no, sometimes voice actors can do extra stuff with their voices. I mean, you look at some of the ranges available to people, to certain voice actors that aren't necessarily inherent in most day-to-day actors.
In my opinion, and this is where we get into the fact that a lot of actors are hired for their looks and not for their voices, most good actors should be able to do those skills. So take someone like Benedict Cumberbatch, because he's done loads of both.
Benedict Bundercatch.
So Benedict Cumberbatch, he literally has been in everything from theatre to film.
Yeah.
He's done lots of animated voiceovers, and people go, well, he's a celebrity. Even before he was famous, Benedict Cumberbatch was doing Big Finish radio plays. Right. And things like that. I'm fairly certain he's in some of the Doctor Who radio plays.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but I'm fairly certain he is. So, he is an example of someone who can do both.
Yeah, who's had a bit of experience at least with voice acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do get why people are angry, because also it didn't help that this year also Chris Pratt was announced as the voice of Garfield as well. And again, it's totally wrong. He's closer to Garfield than Mario.
Yeah.
I could see him more as Garfield.
Yeah, if he just like lazies his voice out, he could probably hit a relatively okay Garfield.
Yeah.
But like, there's no
Garfield,
Yeah.
I'm not a big Bill Murray fan, but Bill Murray was right for Garfield.
Yeah.
He had the right voice.
He's got that, yeah. So those are the dated ones. There was another one that was dated for the 4th of March, which was Minecraft the movie.
Dear Lord.
Yes. However, it seems to have been delayed or cancelled throughout COVID.
Hopefully cancelled.
Yeah, it's currently stated, it's not fully cancelled, but it's stuck in development hell, and it's currently been indefinitely delayed, which I don't know why they don't just say cancelled, because indefinitely surely means it's never coming.
Hopefully.
Which means cancelled. But yeah, so that was something that we're going to make. We may see it, we may not. It's likely not.
We're getting another Halo series this year, aren't we?
So I'll come to that in a second. Now, there's not much information on a lot of this stuff. So I've written down what I can, but obviously where a lot of this stuff is still rumoured or is only very early on in the day, there's not much information going. So first of all, Cyberpunk 2077 has a TV show coming out on Netflix this year.
Will we only get half of an episode and you have to wait over a year for them to
fix
download
it.
the rest?
Yeah, it's called Cyberpunk Edge Runners, so they've dropped the 2077 just in case, I suppose, the game isn't as popular. And it seems on IMDb that there's 10 episodes slated.
Will Keanu be in it?
I don't know. There's no information about directors or cast or anything like that yet, yeah. So all I know is like there's an artwork for it, but it's like a poster artwork, probably a pre-production artwork. And then 10 episodes is all I really know. But it may, I mean, even that's technically just conjecture. There's Tomb Raider 2, which is a sequel to the Alicia Vikander film from 2018 by MGM and Warner Brothers. Now, Alicia Vikander is coming back as Lara, and Kristen Scott Thomas is coming back as Anna Miller. The director is Misha Green, who was a writer primarily, and wrote several episodes of Sons of Anarchy, Heroes, Underground, and Lovecraft Country. So she's got a lot of cojones when it comes to writing, though I've not seen, or I didn't really hear of anything else that she directed. So I'd be interested to see what she does with it. At least it sounds like she's worked on stuff with heft before. Certainly Sons of Anarchy is not light watching. So hopefully Tomb Raider 2 will have some balls, which is an ironic statement considering it's a female-led series, but you know what I mean. As well as that, there is a Tomb Raider anime coming out this year.
Oh.
It's a Netflix series. And the only thing I know about it is that Hayley Atwell, who was an actress from Agent Carter, is going to play the voice of Lara.
She's not just from Agent Carter, she is Agent Carter.
There you go then. But yeah, so the game voice actor for Lara isn't in it. It's Hayley Atwell instead. We also have Assassin's Creed 2 apparently.
Right, yeah, like this is the one that it's hard for me to believe, because didn't Assassin's Creed 1 bomb?
Yeah,
like it's a really bad film from what I've heard. I've never seen it.
Well, I think it might be because the franchise as a whole is still very popular. I've certainly
so
after
another shot.
Yeah, I mean after the Viking one came
Valhalla.
out, Valhalla, and that was very popular.
Right.
You know, so perhaps they might take another crack, but there's no information still. Yeah. Not even on cast. We don't know if Fassbender's back or any. There's literally no information other than it's kind of said to exist, and it's again by New Regency Productions, but that's about it. We don't know anything else. It could just be that they're holding it there until they can give more info. However, there is another Assassin's Creed property coming this year.
Dear God.
Which is a Netflix series again, but this one's going to be live action, not animated, and it's going to be produced by Ubisoft members. There's a Borderlands movie coming out this year by Lionsgate. It stars Kevin Hart, Kate Blanchett, Jack Black, and Jamie Lee Curtis in several starring roles. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's
I don't know anything about Borderlands,
no,
so
neither
I don't know if that's good choices.
Neither do I really. But yeah, so the director of Borderlands is Eli Roth.
No,
Yep.
really? The horror guy?
Yeah, so he's done Hostel, The Green Inferno, House with
Cabin
a Clock in Its
Fever.
Walls. Yeah, he's done quite a lot. He's quite a well-known commodity, Eli Roth.
I didn't know he did House with Clock in Its Walls.
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah, okay.
Now, there's the one that you mentioned, Halo,
Yep.
which apparently is going to come out on Paramount Plus.
Is it Peter Jackson doing it? No,
his
that was
name is
years ago he was going to do it.
That was years ago. It's not anymore. There's not actually any cast and crew yet attached to it, but they are ramping up the promotion right now. So it looks like we might get a release date sooner rather than later. But at the moment, there's still no release date. And according to IMDb, there's 9 episodes for that. Now, again, that's still rumour. There could be more or less. But at the moment, it looks like there's about 9 episodes. There's not much information yet, but there is at least a lot of promotional artwork coming out right now. So there's stuff there to look at. And the last one is The Last of Us. Now,
That's a mini-series, isn't it?
yes. Now, there was a film that's still currently in development hell and is unlikely to be made. But this is the TV series by HBO. And now there's 10 episodes rumoured for that. And it stars as Joel Pedro Pascal.
Yep.
Who is, to most people, the Mandalorian.
Yep, also in Game of Thrones.
He is also in Game of Thrones. And in fact, the person playing Ellie, I think, is also in Game of Thrones. But I haven't written her name because I'm an idiot. Episode 1 of the series is apparently written by Neil Druckmann, who is the writer and director for the games. And episode 6 was directed by Neil Druckmann.
Okay.
So that's an interesting thing. And also, Gustavo Santo... Hang on, let me get this name right. Gustavo Santaolalla, I think that's said correctly, the person who scored the video games, he's come back, he's going to score the series. Okay. So, audio-wise, as far as the soundtrack's concerned, it should be very accurate, and there's at least some influence from Neil Druckmann, so that it should follow that quite well. Whether that's good or bad, because some people got angry after Last of Us 2, I don't know, but ho-hum.
Just to add one more to the upcoming, which is very, very rumoured, as in... I don't know if this will come out next year, or this year, should I say. I don't know if this film is happening at all. Right. But I think it's an interesting thing worth noting. French director Christophe Gans, or Gans, I don't know how it's pronounced. He claims, but no one else has claimed, so no studio has said this. He claims he is intending to return to Silent Hill. So
yes.
He directed Silent Hill 1, he did not do Silent Hill 2, because the studio were trying to force him to make it into an action movie, and he didn't want to do that.
Yep.
But the second one famously did not do well. It's very, very bad. The first one is very good. It's definitely a contender. I'm not going to say the best, but it's definitely in the conversation for best video game adaptation ever made. And he is talking about returning to Silent Hill.
Ironically, something else to go alongside that. So, Silent Hill film director returning to potentially do a Silent Hill 3 movie. Silent Hill... the original game director, the Japanese game director, returning to the horror franchise, but not to Silent Hill. I don't think the name is particularly good. Splitterface.
Yes.
So it looks like horror might be back on the menu.
I watched the trailer for that the other day.
Oh, I haven't seen the trailer yet.
It looks like a PS2 game. It doesn't look great. This is the thing. Like, I'm a big Silent Hill fan, and do you know what's one of the really annoying things about Silent Hill?
What, the film?
No, the franchise as a whole.
The franchise, yeah.
To like the general public audience, everyone associates Hideo Kojima with Silent Hill now. And you're like, no, Hideo Kojima...
He did one game that never came out.
He made one playable teaser and never made an actual Silent Hill game. But apparently apparently him and Konami may have worked out a deal.
Yeah, that's been said for a little while. I don't know how that will go, because Konami are not...
Konami are a terrible fucking company. And apparently are not interested in making video games anymore.
No,
they only want to make mobile games and slot machines, apparently.
Yep, and to be fair, they're doing well with slot machines, aren't they?
But I'd just like to point out, yes, horror does seem to be getting popular again. And, what's that? It seems odd to me. Obviously, I know it's my favourite franchise, so I know I sing its praises all the time. But there was a horror boom sparked in the late 90s by the release of the original Resident Evil.
Yep.
That sparked the survival horror craze. And all of a sudden, Resident Evil goes horror again. Sells really well. Like, Resident Evil 7 is like one of the best-selling Resident Evils. Yep. So is the 2 remake. And I think Village is on track to become the best-selling Resident Evil game ever made. Suddenly Resident Evil goes horror, and suddenly everyone wants a piece of the pie again.
Yep, absolutely.
But I would absolutely love another Silent Hill game.
Yeah,
Silent Hill is legitimately terrifying.
Yeah.
The first few games are. I've actually never played the first one. I've got it and I need to play it. Nice. But Silent Hill 2 and 3, man, fuck me.
Yeah. So, the only other thing left is if there's any questions. Has seeing more video game movies altered your view of the genre? Or the sub-genre, should I say?
No.
No? You still think they're
The
mostly
majority is garbage.
Well, we've got another year. Like, bear in mind, we've only done 11, so we've got another year. Let's see how you feel in a year's time with that. Are there any older video game movies that you're interested in seeing? Any in particular?
Ones that I haven't seen already, you mean?
Yeah.
I would have to remember what was on your list, because you've found things that I didn't know existed.
Sure.
I'd be interested to watch the old Saturday morning Sonic again.
Yeah.
Because I've not seen that since I was a little boy.
What, the one in Not
the Saturday AM
with
one.
Sally? Yeah. Saturday.
Because I was I've not seen that since I was a little boy.
Yeah. I think that one still kind of holds up.
It could be interesting to see if Pokemon still holds up, because I've not seen that since I was a little boy.
I haven't watched that for a long time. That might still hold up, but it might not.
In terms of live action, didn't you tell me there's a second Doom movie?
Yes, there's Doom Annihilation.
That could be interesting.
Yes.
I've already seen the Resident Evils, but I'm interested to go through the CGI Resident Evils again.
Okay, what, Degeneration?
Damnation and Vendetta.
Yeah.
I remember Vendetta being garbage.
Right, okay.
But I don't think...
A lot of people say that's the best one.
Yeah, they're the people who like the Anderson films. Because that's the one that's most like the Anderson films.
And there's a lot of Leon in, isn't it, as well, I think?
In all of the animated ones, because Leon is the most popular character in... Degeneration and Damnation, I seem to remember... Degeneration is okay.
Yeah, it's got Claire and Leon at the airport.
And Damnation is pretty crap, except for a kick-ass tyrant battle at the end.
Yes.
I tell you what is bad is Infinite Darkness. I tell you what I'm interested to watch, because it's probably the only Resident Evil media I haven't seen yet. I assume we'll be covering Resident Evil 4D Executor at some point.
Yes, we will, yes.
Which is free on YouTube, and yet somehow I've never got around to watching it. It's non-canon anyway, but still.
Okay.
There's a Rayman series that I've never seen
There's
before.
a Rayman series. It's only a short series, but yeah. There's 4 episodes. It was meant to be longer than that, but it got cancelled. But we've got all of those. There's Battletoads. There's a pilot episode for a TV show of that.
Wow.
There's... I mean, you can almost name anything. There's a Power Stone series.
No.
Power Stone's got a TV series.
With the sexy gypsy lady in it.
I haven't watched it. I've actually recorded them, so I just need to render them out. But
I'm not going to lie, 10-year-old me, just discovering women.
Yep.
Whoa, I think her name was Rouge.
Yeah, Rouge, with the low-cut trousers.
Yeah, always played as her.
Yeah. You know what? You'll know the idea, so did I. But it wasn't because she was hot, it was because I really respected her play style and her
she could
background.
throw fire, which was cool.
She was hot.
Yeah. Yeah, she threw fire, so she was hot temperature-wise.
There you go. Yeah, that's totally what we mean, guy.
That's probably the ones I'm looking forward to. I'm not really looking forward to, there's a few car-based ones we're going to be watching, like F-Zero, Need for Speed.
Sure.
Those don't really interest me. I've never actually seen the second and third Tomb Raider movies.
Okay.
So the second Angelina Jolie one and the first Alicia Vikander one.
Sure.
I've never seen those.
Yeah.
I've seen the first one, which I remember being quite bad.
Yeah, the first one's not great. The second, I think Cradle of Life was better.
The first one has a guy we'll be seeing a lot of as we cover the Resident Evil movies, Ian Glenn in it.
Yes. So the last thing then I've got, unless you've got any questions afterwards, are currently our most popular episodes are Super Mario Brothers 1993.
Cool hit, makes sense.
Stay Alive 2006.
Jesus.
And then joint for third is Noobs and Sega Hard Girls.
See, we put all the wrong episodes at the start of this show. People were giving us a chance and we gave them all that garbage.
Yeah.
And people have gone, fuck, we're not listening to this anymore.
They jump back. What's interesting, though, is that they jump back in for Noobs. It seems to be the ones that aren't based on specific franchises that
maybe
people are jumping back in for.
I suspect Welcome to Raccoon City will jump up once we start sharing it.
Does that surprise you, that the way that list is, or is it... I mean, I see your point. Most of it is our earlier stuff. This is why we need you guys to share us. We need more. We need more love, more friends.
Yeah, and Super Mario is a cult thing as well.
Yeah, it is.
So
maybe try and find more culty films then, maybe. Any questions for me?
Why did you make us do this?
Because, again, the whole premise was, let's find out whether or not Super Mario Brothers is in fact the worst movie or worst video game adaptation ever.
Well, why continue? Because we've answered that question. It's not.
Because essentially, part of my plan, part of my grand plan, is that we do as many of these as we can get through. I mean, there's about 450 and counting, so the likelihood of getting through everything may be somewhat slimmer, but...
10 years later.
10 years later. Because bear in mind, they're still bloody adding to it. But the idea is that eventually, once we've gotten to a certain level of it, we could maybe rank
The top 10.
Yeah, because I reckon Super Mario Brothers wouldn't be near the top necessarily, but I reckon it would be roughly around the middle. It would be in the average. Because this whole thing...
What, in the top 10?
No, around the average.
You rank all 400?
Yeah, why not? No, I just want to see where Super Mario Brothers would rank, and it's not necessarily that we put them in numerical value order.
This is the weirdest social experiment.
I know, but this is my point. I really want to prove that it's not the worst thing ever. And while we've already got, 3 on here that we would classify as worse, the fact that we've got 3 out of 11, well, 10, because if you remove Super Mario from the equation, there's 3 out of 10 that are worse than Super Mario already. Suggests to me that there's a lot more coming that we would probably say are worse.
Yeah.
And hopefully, quite a few that we would say are better. Hopefully, more than one that you would fucking recommend, Jamie.
Told you, I'll be recommending Silent Hill.
Okay, so we've got 2. Do you think you would recommend Double Dragon?
Is there a Double Dragon movie?
Yes.
I don't know anything about Double Dragon.
It was made in 94.
Worth a shot.
It's not.
No.
It's fucking awful. It's got the guy who was the T-1000 in Terminator 2.
Robert Patrick.
That's it. He's in it. He's the main villain.
No, okay.
But he's not good.
No.
And no one's good.
Is that it? Can we draw this?
I think we can draw this to the end. Yeah, so thank you very much for listening in, guys. Again, final shout out for us, and we're going to be doing a lot more of these over 2022. Please, for the love of all that is holy, share us with all of your friends. Share us across all your Facebook and your social medias, and shout out, please. Just even a little share, just a tiny little share would be amazing for us, because we really want to have more feedback and hear more from you guys. To help share us, you can share the link www.vgmovie.co.uk, and on there you will find all of the links to our iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Google, Amazon Music, our RSS feed, and our Discord link, as well as a breakdown of all the episodes that we've got so far. So please use that to your advantage to help us out. It costs you nothing. It means very little to you, but it means the world to us. To get more fans to be able to talk to you guys and have more of a dialogue going, because we'd like to be able to converse more with the fans and see what it is you guys would like us to cover. Because at the moment we're kind of shooting blind. We're just like, maybe Sonic, maybe Robotnik, maybe Noobs.
No one thought maybe Noobs except you.
And yet it's our 3rd popular episode.
People came for Jay.
We're going to have to do that video game movie where, what was it, the Video Game Couch Brigade, or was it?
Oh, yeah.
Something? There's a weird-ass movie that's all CGI and looks worse somehow than Stay Alive and was made years later. But yeah, we'll come to that in the new year. Oh, and he's dead. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you on the next one.
Hasta la vista, babies.
Woo!
Game over, yeah!
Cyberpunk Studios.